Hello everyone, welcome to free crash course on competitive exams held by VIRAT Hindustan Sangham in association with Manifest IAS Bengaluru. So this program is inspired by Dr. Subramanian Swami and it was started on 28th of January. So this program is convened by Sri Ravishankar sir, who is the State Education Convener for VHS Karnataka and also President of Good Neighbors India NGO. Okay, so I am the chief mentor of your program, DHANUSH Kumar. I have the experience of mentoring civil service aspirants for over 5 years. So this program is held online. I mean, it is telecasted online. You can watch this program online on the YouTube channel of VIRAT Hindustan Sangham. Here is the link. And also on the YouTube channel of Udaya News Karnataka. Here is the link. And you can join our Telegram channel for free mentoring. You can just type VHS Education on the Telegram and you can join our Telegram channel for free mentoring. Okay, here is the timetable along with syllabus. We are done with polity. We are in the middle of history. Next, the pro course goes on and ends with general science. Okay, so here is a QR code. You can scan this QR code and join our group, and also by clicking this link. So how to use this program? Veterans can use this as a revision course. Freshers can use this program to get a gist of what they are supposed to study. Okay, so today we will talk about Revolt of 1857, First War of Indian Independence. But before that, we are left with some topics from last class. People's resistance against the British before 1857. 1857 ಮುಂಚೆ ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರ ವಿರುದ್ಧ ಏನೇನು ಬಂಡಾಯಗಳು ನಡೆದವು ಅದರನ್ನ we have spoken about that. We have largely spoken about civil uprisings, that is ನಾಗರಿಕ ದಂಗೆಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಿದೀವಿ. Now we'll talk about peasant. Peasant means agricultural laborers. ಅವರು ಹೇಗೆ how did they oppose the British? ಅವರು ಹೇಗೆ ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರನ್ನ ಅಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ we are going to talk today. Okay, so first is the peasant movements with religious overtones. So why did they protest? Why did the peasants, raitru, why did they protest against the British? So this British used to evict them when they failed to pay the agricultural tax. Then the British used to evict them from the land when they failed to pay the taxes. And also they were not given occupancy rights for peasants. Occupancy right means, so peasants have a land. In that land they will be given papers, documentation will be given to them. So that documentation, peasant rights, was not given to them, and that's why peasants raised against the British. Avaru British ವಿರುದ್ಧ ದಂಗೆಯನ್ನ ಹೂಡಿದ್ರು. Okay, the first important movement is Narkel Bera movement. Narkel Bera movement. Here it was headed by Mir Nitar Ali. Mir Nitar Ali. Why? So this also had religious overtones. Means ರೈತರು ಧಾರ್ಮಿಕ ಅಂಶಗಳನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಗುರಿಯಾಗಿಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರ ವಿರುದ್ಧ ದಂಗೆ ಎದ್ರು. ಧಾರ್ಮಿಕ ಅಂಶಗಳು, ರಿಲಿಜಿಯಸ್ ಓವರ್ಟೋನ್ಸ್, ನರ್ಕೇಲ್ ಬೆರಾ ಮೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್. So what happened here? Here the landlords, that is the zamindars who were owning the land, they were Hindus. They were mostly Hindus. And the peasants were Muslims. And these Muslims used to leave the beard. So these Hindus, what they did, landlords, zamindars, they imposed a tax on the beard. On the beard they imposed a tax. Because of the tax on the Muslims, this movement started. So it is having religious overtone, religious dharmika ಕಾರಣಗಳಿಂದ it started. Next, Pagalpanthis. So it was started in the Garo tribes. So Garo tribes, where it is? Meghalayas, 3 tribes. First is Kasi, Jaintia and Garo. Garo tribes do the Pagalpanthi movement. So two people are important here, Karam Shah and his son Tippu. Karam Shah and his Tippu. Why? So they demanded equal protection of their rights. That is, ರೈತರಿಗೆ ಅವರ ಹಕ್ಕುಗಳನ್ನ ಸಮರ್ಥಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ they did this movement. Next, Farzai Revolt. Farzai Revolt also by Muslim peasants. Why they did it? Okay, so this Farzais, who started it? The Farzais were, this movement was started by Haji Shariatullah. Haji Shariatullah, and so it was a radical religious movement. Radical ಧಾರ್ಮಿಕ ಅಂಶಗಳನ್ನು ಅತಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಫರ್ಜಾಯ್ ಮೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. So ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ there was one person called Dadu Miya. Dadu Miya is one person here. So in the Farzai. Next, Mopla Revolt. Mopla Revolt, it happens in the Malabar, Kerala. Kerala, Mopla Revolt happens here. Why? Increased revenue demand. Agriculture, ರೈತರಿಂದ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಂದಾಯವನ್ನ ವಸೂಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರಿಂದ this Mopla movement takes place. Okay, so this is about Mopla movement. So all of them are before 1857. All of them are before 1857. So did the 1857 revolt, 1857 ದಂಗೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ರೈತರು ಪಾಲ್ಗೊಂಡ್ರ, did they participate? So they were active in some areas. ಕೆಲವು ಜಾಗಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಲ್ಗೊಂಡ್ರು, ಕೆಲವು ಜಾಗಗಳಲ್ಲಿ they did not participate. Okay, next we'll talk about tribal revolts, difference between mainland and northeast. So mainland tribals, what do you mean by mainland tribals? Tribals ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಕಾಡು ಜನ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಇವರು ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರ ವಿರುದ್ಧ ದಂಗೆಯನ್ನ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ these tribals do revolt in mainland. Mainland means, so suppose this is your India, right? Okay, one second. Okay, first this is your India. So mainland, so whoever tribals present in this region are called mainland tribals. Mukhya prantyada kaadu jana. The tribals present in northeast are called northeast tribals. So what is the difference between mainland tribals and northeast tribals? Okay, so the British affected the joint ownership. So in the tribal, Gadu generally, ಅವರಲ್ಲಿ individual, they don't have individual land owning. Tribals as a community, together they own a land. Together, tribals as a community, they own a land. Okay, so this so what the British did, the British tried to extend agriculture. Agriculture was not practiced in the tribal land. In the tribal land, agriculture was not practiced. This British tried to introduce agriculture in the tribal land, and so in that and also these tribals used to move from one place to another. They did not settle. Some tribals like your shifting cultivation. Shifting cultivation means, so they cultivate a land, they grow crops. Once the soil degrades, soil becomes old, they go to some other land, and so shifting cultivation. So they used to practice shifting cultivation. So what happened? This British tried to make them settle in one particular place. That was resented. That was opposed. Next is reserved forest. In shifting cultivation, they said certain forest, they said you cannot get into, the tribals cannot get into these forests. That is also a revolt. That is also cause. And also they restricted timber. Tribals earlier used to cut the timber and sell it. Now it was British forbidden it. British did not allow it. Next, police, moneylenders, all of them exploited them. Police and moneylenders used to do lot of corruption and oppress them. Next, Christian missionaries. these Christian missionaries went to tribals and tried to convert them into Christianity. That was also opposed by the tribals, because tribals had their own tribal god. So these Christian ministers tried to promote their own god. That was also opposed. Okay. So also they had their own culture and own land cultivation rules, land owning rules. That is collective ownership. Tribals had collective ownership. Suppose I am a tribal, I don't have one single tribal land, whereas my tribe as a whole, we together own the land. So there is no single ownership in the tribal. That was affected by the British. Okay. So characteristics of tribal revolt. What are the characteristics? So it was based on tribal identity. Only the tribals participated. No outsiders participated. It was only if you are a tribe, you are allowed to fight against the British. Okay. So they used violence. That is, it was not a peaceful movement. They killed the money lenderers. Money lenderers ಹಳ್ಳಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಪತ್ರಗಳನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಯಾರು ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೋ ಅವರನ್ನ ಮನಿ ಲೆಂಡರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್. So and also they opposed foreign government. British government was a foreign government, foreign from somewhere else. So they opposed the foreign government. That was also a characteristic. Okay. So and also this British, what they do, instead of collective ownership, they try to divide the tribal land and provide it for individual ownership. That was also one of the characteristic to fight. Next, Messiah-like figures. Messiah-like figures means, Messiah means what? Messiah means a religious head, charmer, or a religious person. Like, for example, your Nityananda is a Messiah figure. Messiah figure means he says he is a god. So likewise, these tribals also had Messiah figures. Messiah figures means some person within the tribe claimed that he is the god of the tribe and he was worshipped. So Messiah-like figures were there. Next, we will look about important tribal movements of mainland within India. I already discussed what is mainland. Okay. So what are the important tribal movements? First, we have the Tilka Manji revolt. Where did this happen? So Tilka Manji revolt happened. So because why did this happen? So British tried to use the policy of divide and rule. They tried to divide the tribals. So what they did, this happened in the Sultanganj, in the areas again around Sultanganj. Okay. So what he did, he used to go and loot the British. Since they practiced divide and rule, they tried to divide the tribals. He went and looted the British money. British treasury. Okay, he had lot of followers. Okay. So why this Tilka Manji did was, one is divide and rule. Next is, so there is exploitation, harassment, exploitation by the British. They used to exploit the British. They used to collect revenue forcefully, tax forcefully. That is why he revolted. Next, we have Chuar Uprising. Chota Nagpur. Where is Chota Nagpur? Today's Jharkhand region. Chota Nagpur is there. Okay. There, why did he? So who are these Chuar people? Chuars are people, they are basically farmers and hunterers. So they were strongly attached to the soil. So they had good relationship with the soil. They did not want to be alienated from the soil. That is their soil rights. That is land rights their opposition of their land rights or alienation, taking away of the land rights was opposed. They were closely attached to the land. So this jungle, why did they revolt? The jungle zamindars tried to impose lot of revenue was tried to be extracted. That is why they were revolted. Okay. So who was one of the most important leader in Chuars is Durjan Singh. Durjan Singh. So he revolted because British tried to impose permanent settlement. What do you mean by permanent settlement? So Lord Wellesley introduced it in permanent settlement. What they do? So they will, suppose land is there, this land is given to some person, some zamindar, and that zamindar has to pay fixed amount of revenue, fixed amount of tax to the British. In turn, he will collect the taxes from the, taxes from whom? From the farmers. This zamindar in turn will collect the taxes and he will give a fixed amount to the British. This is permanent settlement. This permanent settlement was opposed by Durjan Singh in the Chuar Rising, and also this police regulations. So Chuars had their own police called pikes. So this British introduced modern police, that was also resented. So that was also resented, and these Chuar were more tribal, that is they were isolated, they were not well versed in the modern system. British ಒಂದು ಆಳ್ವಿಕೆ ನೀತಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಅರಿವಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಅವರು ತುಂಬಾ ಹಿಂದುಳಿದವರಾಗಿದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ they revolted against the British when they tried to invade into their territory. Next, Pahariyas. So where is this Pahariyas? In the Rajmahal Hills. Where is this Rajmahal Hills? Northeastern Jharkhand. Northeast Jharkhand, Rajmahal Hills is there. So I told Chota Nagpur Plateau in Jharkhand. Northeast to this Chota Nagpur Plateau, we have Rajmahal Hills. Okay, Rajmahal Hills. So these Pahariyas lived. These Pahariyas, where did they live? They lived around the Rajmahal Hills. Okay, so they wanted to maintain their independence. So they wanted to maintain their independence. However, British wanted to conquer their land. British wanted to conquer the Pahariyas land. Okay, so that is why they what they did. And also British tried to encourage because British tried to build the railways. For the railway railings, so for the railings they needed timber. So railway tracks are like this. So like this there will be railings, right? So some blocks will be laid upon which railing would be put. So earlier, now it is made of concrete. Earlier it was made of wood. So that wood was tried to be exploited from Rajmahal Hills, because of which these Pahariyas opposed them. Okay, so forest clearance was opposed by the Pahariyas. Next, we will move towards coal mutiny. Yes, coal mutiny. So where did this coal mutiny take place? So most of these tribal revolts, it happens in and around Chota Nagpur. So please go and look Chota Nagpur in the Jharkhand region in your map. Okay, so what is this coal mutiny? It happens in 1831 in the Chota Nagpur region. So what happens? This tribal land, whatever the tribal land was there, it was given to outsiders. Tribal land was given to outside people, that is religious people, Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs. So tribals, they will be having their own population. If someone from city goes and buys the tribal land, they resented it, they did not like it. That is why they started fighting the British, because British allowed the outside men to go and buy. Ho and Munda revolt. Ho and Munda revolt. So it happened in 1820s. It happened in 1820s. Why did it happen? Farming revenue policy, excessive revenue. I hope you know what is revenue. Tax on the land. Because of taxation, the excess taxation by the British, this Ho and Munda rebellion happens. Though this also happens in the Chota Nagpur area only. They belong to Chota Nagpur area, whereas Ho's belong to, Ho people belong to Singhbum region. Okay, next, we will talk about Santal. Sorry. Yes, we have to talk about Santal rebellion. Okay. So Santal rebellion happens in twice, 1833 once it happens, 1855 second time it happens. So why did this Santal rebellion happens? So here they try to, this forest, this British come and try to clear the forest. So take away the forest resources for commercial purpose for selling the forest resources. That is why they rebel against the British. And also this is so basically it is clearing of forest resources were tried to be exploited. Okay. So that is why they rebel against the British. Santal rebellion. Okay. So and also under permanent settlement. So this for this Santals permanent settlement. I already said what is permanent settlement. British tried to introduce permanent settlement in the Santal region. That is why they opposed it. One more reason, money lenderers. What they used to do, these money lenderers for Santals were called as Dikus. What they used to do, they used to give money to the tribals at excess interest rate like 50%. If they took 100 rupees, they had to pay 150 rupees. So excess interest rate, that is also a reason for them to revolt. So two important leaders under the Santals, Sidhu and Kanu. The names are important. Next, Kond rebellion. Kond rising happens in 1837. So it happens in Odisha region, today Odisha region. So what these Konds used to do, they used to sacrifice human beings were killed by the Konds. So this British comes and say, you cannot kill, human sacrifice, Narabaliyana korta idru. So British says, you cannot give human Narabali, you cannot give human sacrifice. So when they say that, and also they introduced new taxes were introduced. So this is why Konds oppose the British. The important leader here in the Kond revolt is Chakra Bishnoi. Okay, next, Koya revolt happens. So why? Oppression by police, and so Koya revolt happens in today's Andhra Pradesh because of oppression by police and zamindars, money lenderers and zamindars oppress. That is why this happened. Next, Bill revolt happens in the Western Ghat region. So Bills fight in the Western Ghat region. So most of the revolts I told happened in the eastern part of India. So Bills and Ramosis and Kolis. So these three Kolis. So these three happen in the western part, Western India. So okay. So Western Ghats. So just remember where did the Bill revolt happen. Next, in the 1844, this Kolis, they are neighbors of Bills. Kolis neighbors of Bills. They also revolt against the British. Avaru kuda Britishರ ವಿರುದ್ಧ ದಂಗೆಯನ್ನ ಎತ್ತುತ್ತಾರೆ. Next, Ramosis are also Western Ghats. Where is Western Ghats? So here is your Western Ghats. This is your Western Ghats. So Western Ghats, they revolt. Ramosis, Bills and also Kolis. So Western Ghats. Why the Ramosis fight? Because British administration, tribals had their own model of administration. British introduced new model of administration which they opposed. That is why they fight the British. Okay. So next, Ramosis is done. Ramosi, important leader, Chittur Singh. Tribal movements of the Northeast. What are the tribal movements? Okay. Northeast tribal movement. First we have the Kasi Uprising. Kasi is, I told, Meghalaya, there are 3 mountain hills. Kasi, Garo and Jaintia. Kasi's first revolt. So why did the Kasis revolt? Because outsiders. So these tribals, they don't allow outsiders to come and settle in their territory. So when the outsiders come and settle in their territory and take up their land, these Kasis oppose them. So the important leader is Tirath Singh. Tirath Singh. So that is all important about this. Next is Singhpos rebellion. The Singhpos happen to be in Assam. They are people from Assam. So why do they, so who is their chief? So they also oppose British for one of the other reason. The chief is Nirang Pidu. Nirang Pidu. Okay, next we have Ahom rebellion. So whenever the name Ahom comes, think it is Assam. Ahom, Assam. Ahom, why do they fight? So because I told in the earlier class, Indo-Burmese war. Indo-Burmese war. British and Burma fight. So in order to fight the Burma, British invaded. British had to go through Assam. So because of that, they because of which they oppressed the Ahoms, local Assoms. Because of which they these Ahoms revolt against the British. So the main reason for Ahom revolt is British Burma war. Okay. Next, Kasis is done. Okay. Okay. So some of the other revolts after 1857 in the northeast. What are the important revolts after 1857? So it is all these are before. After 1857, you have your Kukis revolt. KUKIS. Kukis revolt is there. Tripura revolts happen in Tripura as well. Next you have in Manipur 1920s you have Zeliong Song movement. Zeliong Song movement, that is also one revolt. And Nagas in Manipur, Nagas also create one revolt. And one more thing is important thing, 1930s Heraka cult. Heraka cult in Manipur, they also fight. So Rani Gadinilu. So the name is important. Okay, next Sepoy Mutiny. Sepoy Mutiny. So Sepoys, who are these Sepoys? The British soldiers. British Indian soldiers are called Sepoys. So they used to call them Sepoys. What are the causes? Causes, British Indian soldiers were given less payment and British officials used to treat Indians badly. They used to treat them very badly. They used to call them gulams. So that is why mistreatment. Next, the foreign service allowance was not given. Suppose a soldier from Awadh, that is UP is there. If he serves in Punjab, foreign service allowance should be given. For Indians, it was not given. Next, religious objections. Religious objections. Okay. So these Christian missionaries tried to convert the Sepoys into Christianity. That is why, that is also one of the reasons. Important mutinies. What are the important mutiny? So in Bengal, one mutinies take place, 1764. Most important is your Vellore mutiny. Vellore, where is it? It is in Tamil Nadu. When you go from Bengaluru to Madras, Vellore comes in between. So there the Sepoys do mutiny in 1806. Next, you have Assam. In Assam also, Sepoys revolt in 1825. Sholapur, they revolt in 1838. So these are some of the mutinies. Revolts post 1857. Post 1857, what are the tribal revolts? Okay. So two important revolts. Birsa Munda revolt. Birsa Munda revolt. Today, your Jharkhand airport, Ranchi airport is called what? Ranchi airport is called Birsa Munda airport. It is because of this person. So, he does a revolt against British. So, he organizes a organization. He organizes a tribal organization and the tribal organization name is Ulgulan. 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 This was asked in prelims 2020. Ulgulan. So, Birsa Munda's tribal organization is called Ulgulan. Okay. So, why did they oppose the British? They opposed the British because Zamindari system. The British introduced Zamindari system in the region and they tried to increase the rent. So, land was given to peasants and they used to what? collect excess rent, ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಹಣವನ್ನ ಬೇಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ದುಡ್ಡನ್ನ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪೆಸೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ನ ದೇ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು send them out of the land, ನೆಲದಿಂದ ಹೊರಗಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಜಾಗದಿಂದ. So that is why this Birsa Munda revolt takes place. And also begar, forced labor, that is even if you don't wish to work for the British, they used to force to work you, they used to force you to work for them. So forced labor, this is called, the forced labor is called begar, Begar. The name is important. So because of all this, and also this Christian missionaries, so this Christian church people, they used to go to the tribes and try to give them money and ask them to convert to Christianity. So that is also the reason for Birsa Munda revolt. So it happens where? It happens in the Chota Nagpur region. Chota Nagpur, very, very important. Next, Tana Bhagat movement. Tana Bhagat. So Tana Bhagat, so this also happens in Jharkhand, in Ranchi region. So he is a Messiah, divine figure. That is for that tribe, he is the God. He is considered a God. Just like all these Guru Ram Rahim Singh and other God men, Kalki Bhagwan and your Sai Baba, Shirdi Sai Baba, all these are Messiah figures. So Tana Bhagat was considered a Messiah. Okay. So why did they? So this Tana Bhagat, he conducted a satyagraha. This Tana Bhagats conducted a satyagraha. So they joined the Gandhi Satyagraha movement. So this Tana Bhagat and the other people, they joined with the Gandhi in the non-cooperation movement. 1921. So these people joined the Tana Bhagat, Gandhi's non-cooperation movement. Next, I spoke about cookies in the post-tribal, post-1857 revolt. Cookies in the Manipur. Next, the Nagas also fight in Manipur, and Zelion Song movement and Heraka cult. So Heraka cult, Manipur, all of them happen in Manipur only. Okay. All four of them happen in Manipur. What are the weakness of people uprising? Why did the people's uprising, that is all of these people revolted the British, why did they fail against the British? So what are the reasons? But the reason is they did not have very big organization. So if tribals are there in Chota Nagpur, so the fight was limited to Chota Nagpur. It did not go spread to other regions. So it was localized. The fight was localized. Next is local grievances. So if the grievances were not India's freedom, but rent, land revenue, police, local grief. They had ಸ್ಥಳೀಯ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳು. So if they had local problems, so the problems were limited to local, not national. And there was semi-feudal leadership, or not very good leadership. Semi-feudal means what? The leadership came from landowners. Those people who owned the land, who owned yaratra ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಜಾಗ ಇತ್ತು, they formed the leadership. They were the leaders of the movement. Okay. Next. Okay, it was not national. It was not nationalistic. Okay, andre ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯವಾದ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. So and also they used old weapons. So British had guns and even cannons, that is Firangis, whereas these people had swords and katis. So they had very old weapons. So these were some of the reasons for failure, weaknesses of the people's uprising. Next, most important part, revolt of 1857, also called as Sepoy Mutiny, also called as what? The first war of Indian independence. Indian independence ಗೆ, ಭಾರತದ ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಮೊದಲನೇ ದೊಡ್ಡ ರೀತಿಯ ದಂಗೆ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ it is the revolt of 1857. So very, very important. So British, when did the British actually get foothold? So when did they actually start the rule? So it actually starts from 1757, though they come into 1600. 1757, what battle? Battle of Plassey. Battle of Plassey. From there, the British rule starts. Next, simmering discontent. That is, ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳು ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪನೇ ಉದ್ಭವಿಸ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳು ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರ ವಿರುದ್ಧ. ಸೊ the disputes were gathering over time. They were gathering up. Okay. So what are the disputes? One is administrative innovations. So earlier we had some other administrative form. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆಡಳಿತ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿ ಇತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ. So this British come and introduce some new administration that was not liked by the Indians. Next, so this zamindars, peasants, traders. So zamindars lands were taken away. Peasants ge HK tax anna hakudru. Because of all this, so the discontent, samasyegalu udbhavistane idvu. So major causes. What are the major causes? Economic causes. What are the economic causes? So unpopular revenue settlement, ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕಂದಾಯವನ್ನ ಬೇಡಿಕೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ಒಂದು. ಎರಡನೇದು ಮನಿ ಲೆಂಡರರ್ಸ್. These money lenders were to give excessive rent, excessive tax interest rate. 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿಗೆ 50 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಬಡ್ಡಿ. So excessive tax rate, that was also a reason. And also artisans and gudi kaigarike, artisans and handicrafts, gudi kaigarike. So that was destroyed. Earlier, before British came, India was famous for handicrafts and artisans. Gudi kaigarike, India was very, very famous. Lot of exports. However, British came and destroyed this. So there was no handicrafts and artisans, and all the goods were imported from Britain. So that was also a reason. Next, so the British opposed this Indian handicrafts and also the Indian trade. So Indian traders, ನಮ್ಮ traders ಏನಿದ್ರು ವ್ಯಾಪಾರ ಮಾಡೋರು, ಅವರಿಗೆ they used to impose high tax. Indian traders lot of tax, British traders no tax. So that is also a reason. So it was called as free trade. Next, talukdars and zamindars. Zamindars and talukdars. Zamindars who was holding the zameen, lot of land. Talukdars, they were head of the taluk, entire taluk. So their zameen and their taluks were taken over by British. That was also a reason. Next, political causes, ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಕಾರಣಗಳು. So these talukdars, I told, this zamindars and talukdars land were taken over. So because of which these two people lost prestige. ಘನತೆಯ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಬಂತು. Next, and also British used many doctrines like doctrine of effective control, subsidiary alliance, doctrine of lapse. I have discussed it in previous class. So these innovations were disliked. Next, administrative causes. Corruption. So what you see as corruption today, actually it started during the British time. British introduced corruption in India. So there was lot of corruption in the British system. Next, socio-religious causes. So socio-religious causes, British, because they were white and Indians were black, they used to treat Indians very badly because Indians ಕಪ್ಪು ಬಣ್ಣ ಇದ್ರಿದ್ರಿಂದ. So ಜನಾಂಗೀಯ ದ್ವೇಷ. Then Christian missionaries. So these Christian missionaries tried to convert Indians into Christians. So that is also a reason. Next, British tried to promote widow remarriage. ವಿಧವಾ ವಿವಾಹವನ್ನ ಪ್ರಮೋಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. That was disliked by Indians. And ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನಗಳಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮಸೀದಿಗಳ ಮೇಲೆ they imposed tax, ಕಂದಾಯವನ್ನ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು. That was also opposed. Okay. Next, influence of outside events. What? Crimean War. Where is this Crimea? So check out where is Crimea. It is below Ukraine. So now it is under control of which country? Now Crimea is under the control of Russia. So next, discontent among sepoys. I already told what are the resentment of the sepoys. So, here one important issue comes. Earlier what happens? So suppose this is your India. So here is Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal. So here is Africa. So what happened? So if Sepoy is here, so he would be deployed to Africa. So for service by the British. So what used to happen? There was a condition in Hinduism. Suppose you travel the sea, if you go into the seas, you will lose your caste. ಸಮುದ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಯಾಣ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಜಾತಿಯನ್ನ ನೀವು ಕಳೆದುಕೊಂತೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಇತ್ತು. So when this British tried to send them to other countries, these sepoys opposed it because for them caste was more important. And for the Sikhs, the turban was not allowed. That was also a reason. And foreign service allowance also called as batta payment was not given. Okay, that was also a reason. Next, and the Indian soldiers were discriminated. They were treated very badly by the British superiors. That was also a reason. Next, beginning and spread of the revolt, the spark. So what is a spark? Spark means what? You have a bike. So when you push the ignition, because of the spark, the engine starts. Similarly, the revolt starts because of the spark. What is that spark? What provided the spark? So actually there will be a rumor. What rumor? So for Hindus were pure vegetarians. There was a rumor that bone dust was used in atta, used for making rotis. So in the atta, that is wheat flour, wheat maida ಗೋಧಿ ಹಿಟ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಮೂಳೆಯ ಪುಡಿಯನ್ನ ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ರೂಮರ್ ಇತ್ತು. That was opposed by the whom? By the sepoys. That was one. Next, Enfield rifle ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಗನ್ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಆ ಗನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ that gun so earlier there was no bullets, there used to be cartridges. So these cartridges were the form of gunpowder. So this gunpowder had to be poured into the gun and had to be stirred and then fire. Okay, so what happened? This cartridge used to be there, no? To open it, they have to bite it using their mouth. So but there was a rumor saying that cover of the cartridge was made of pig and cow's meat, cow fat. So handi ಮತ್ತೆ ಹಸುವಿನ ಕೊಬ್ಬಿನಿಂದ that cover was made, that had to be open through mouth. So the sepoys opposed. Why? Hindus, cow is a sacred animal, and also Muslims, pig is prohibited. So they both of them opposed it. That is the spark for the revolt. That is the spark for 1857 revolt. Where does it start? It starts at Meerut. Where is Meerut? It is very close to Delhi, just 60 kilometers from Delhi. So there it starts. Even before this, you would have heard about Mangal Pandey ji. So this Enfield rifle, I told you about Enfield rifle. This issue actually takes place in where? 34th Native Infantry. So British Army is there. It was divided into multiple infantry. One of the infantry means Kaldala, Padatigalu. So infantry means foot soldiers. 34th Native Infantry, one person called Mangal Pandey fires over his superior. Our boss anna kole ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. So because he forces him to open the Enfield rifle through his mouth. Okay, next, so that is where it starts, and these people at Meerut, they oppose the Enfield rifle. They kill their own superiors and come to Delhi. So here they choose Bahadur Shah. Who is Bahadur Shah? Last Mughal emperor. So Bahadur Shah will be there. Which Bahadur Shah? Bahadur Shah II, Bahadur Shah Zafar or Bahadur Shah II. So he will be chosen as the head. Okay, so this shows that Mughals were treated as the rulers of India. They had a psychological impact. There was a psychological image that Mughals were the rulers of India. That is why they choose Bahadur Shah as the emperor of India, who chooses the sepoys from Meerut. So they come and they actually, it starts as a sepoy mutiny. So, soldiers start this, but they come and convert it into political issue. When do they convert into political issue? When they make Bahadur, when they involve Bahadur Shah in the revolt. So illivargu sainikara samasya agittu. Enfield rifle. When they come and declare Bahadur Shah as their ruler, it gets converted into political issue. So what this Bahadur Shah did? So what did he do? So he writes letters to everybody. He writes letters to all the rulers saying that we have to oppose the British and you support us. So he writes that letter. So along with that, civilians join. Civilians means common people like me and you. We also join the revolt. So civilians join it. Who are the civilians? Peasantry, Raitru, artisans, Gudi Kaigarike, shopkeepers, Angadi Malikru, laborers, Kuli Karmikaru, Zamindars, religious people, priests, Pujarigalu, civil servants, government servants, everybody joins the revolt against the British. So what they do? They burn the law courts. Law courtಗಳನ್ನ ಸುಟ್ಟಾಕ್ತಾರೆ. Revenue officers, taluk office, they burn. Revenue police station they burn and destroy everything. Storm centers and readers, which were the, suppose this is your, I have to write the India map again. Okay, so this is your India. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, this is your India. So there was this revolt was spread over entire India? No, it was confined to only this much region. It was not here. It was not here. It was not here, as well as not here. Only the central part of India and certain part of North India was involved in the 1857 revolt. Storm centers. So at Delhi, who was heading? It was of course Bahadur Shah. Who was his military general? Khan, General Bakht Khan. General Bakht Khan was the military leader of the Bahadur Shah. Okay. Next, we have at Kanpur. Kanpur revolt was headed by Nana Sahib. Kanpur revolt was headed by Nana Sahib. Okay. So next, Lucknow, it was headed by Begum Hazrat Mahal. Lucknow, the revolt was headed by Begum Hazrat Mahal. Okay, Begum, she is the wife of a Nawab. Okay, so what the British would have done? They would have not allowed the Begum's son to become the ruler. So I already told Awadh was dispossessed. Awadh was taken over. So that is the reason. Awadh, today's UP. Next, Bareilly. In Bareilly region, Khan Bahadur. Khan Bahadur is the leader. Okay, so who is this Khan Bahadur? I already told Rohilkhand. He is a Rohilkhand. It is foothills of Himalayas. So he is the ruler of Rohilkhand. Okay, he had a grudge against British. So next in Bihar, who heads the revolt? Bihar revolt was headed by Kunwar Singh. So he is a Zamindar. Next, Faizabad, the revolt was headed by Maulvi Amanullah. So Maulvi Ahmadullah. Ahmadullah Maulvi, he heads the revolt in Faizabad. Next, most importantly, in Jhansi, who heads the revolt? Jhansi Rani Lakshmi Bai heads the revolt against the British. So she gives a call. So why she heads the revolt? Because Dalhousie is doctrine of lapse. Doctrine of lapse. What is this doctrine of lapse? Jhansi Rani Lakshmi Bai's son was not allowed to become the king. So adopted son. So she doesn't have a own son. She would have adopted someone. He was not allowed to become the king by whom? Dalhousie. That is why and Dalhousie takes over Jhansi. So she gives a call, मैं अपनी झांसी नहीं दूंगी, मैं अपनी झांसी नहीं दूंगी. So this happens in 1857. But we Karnataka people should feel proud of ourselves, because before 33 years before this, in 1824, our own Rani Chennamma fights the British. Even 33 years before, Jhansi Rani Lakshmibai fights British in North India. Our own Rani Chennamma fights the British in 1824. She will say, Kitturu Chirayu Vagali. So, by saying that, she defends Kittur Rani Chennamma. So, we should feel proud of ourselves. Okay. So, just like Jhansi Rani Chennamma had whom? Sangolli Rayana. This Rani Lakshmibai had Tantya Top. So, he was a supporter of Jhansi Rani Lakshmibai. Next, we have so whatever I spoke till now, all of them are rulers, right? However, normal people also participated in the revolt. So, the important normal person was Shah Mal. So, he headed the revolt. So, he also gathered some people and headed the revolt in Uttar Pradesh. Next, we'll talk about suppression of the revolt. How did the British suppress the revolt? First, the British capture Delhi. They conquer Delhi. So, here what they do? They kill all the Mughal rulers. So, Mughal, whoever the princes were there, all the Mughal princes were shot at point blank. Point blank means they are at here, they will be shot in the head. All Mughal rulers will be killed by English, so that entire Mughal empire gets extinguished. No Mughal person would be left. Everyone would be killed by British. Next, what happens? So, all storm centers, I told, so many storm centers. So, everywhere, everybody gets defeated. Rani Lakshmibai, Nana Sahib, Khan Bahadur, Kunwar Singh, Maulvi Ahmadullah. Everybody gets defeated by British. So, this is how the British, by the end of 1859, so it starts in 1857, by 1859, British take control over entire India. So, they take the control over entire India. Okay, why did the revolt fail? Why did this revolt fail? First war of Indian independence, Sepoy Mutiny. Why did it fail? Okay, so there was no all India participation. I already told the participation was limited to central and certain parts of northern India and certain parts of West Bengal. So there was no all India participation. South India, Western India did not participate. All classes did not join. All classes did not join means Zamindars did not join. Zamindars did not join. Moneylenders did not join. So rich people did not join the revolt. Even educated people also opposed the revolt. They said this is not good. Okay. So they believed British rule is good. So next, poor arms and equipment. So Indians did not have good weapons. They were fighting with swords and muskets. Swords, kattigalinda they used to fight. Whereas British used to fight with guns, rifles, modern weapons. Next, uncoordinated and poorly organized. There was no coordination. So, there was many centers of revolt. However, there was no coordination. They were acting on their own. They did not act in unity. There was no help, mutual cooperation. Next, no unified ideology. After British were thrown out, what should be ideology? What should be the kind of nation India should be? There was no clear ideology. ಒಂದು ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟ ಗುರಿ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಇವರಿಗೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ದಂಗೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿದವರಿಗೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಟಾಕ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ Hindu-Muslim unity factor. So what they fight today, hijab versus saffron shawl. Actually, in 1857, Hindus and Muslims were friends. Hindus and Muslims were friends. They were cooperating with each other. However, after this Hindu-Muslim fight, enmity start because of British. British used the Muslims to fight the Hindus. That is why Hindu-Muslim today communalism, it started because of British. Two things are British gift to India. One is corruption. Second is Hindu-Muslim fight. Okay. Next. So there was lot of cooperation between Hindus and Muslims. People cooperated, soldiers cooperated, and leaders also cooperated. For example, we have who? This Jhansi Rani Lakshmi Bai, she is a Hindu queen. She depended on Muslim soldiers. So there was lot of cooperation among both the religion. Okay. Nature of the revolt. ಈ ದಂಗೆಯ ಲಕ್ಷಣಗಳು ಏನು? What is the nature of the revolt? So some people say it is a selfish sepoy mutiny. ಸ್ವಾರ್ಥದಿಂದ ಕೂಡಿದಂತ dange anta. No, that is wrong. That is not the nature. So what is the nature? Some people say discontented princes and landlords started this. So zamindars and landlords, ನೆಲವನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂತವರು who dislike British, they started this revolt ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. That is also not true. Okay. So some say, and this Marxist historians say, Marxist people, Marxವಾದ ಏನು ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ, it says soldier, peasant fight against the feudal bondage. ಸೈನಿಕರು ಮತ್ತೆ ರೈತರು feudal ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೆಲವನ್ನ ಆಳ್ತಕ್ಕಂತ ಜಮೀನ್ದಾರನ ವಿರುದ್ಧ ನಡೆದಂತ ದಂಗೆ ಅಂತಾರೆ. That is also not true. Like this, there are many views. So this is, some say it is just a sepoy mutiny, some say it is a Indian war of independence. However, it is neither sepoy mutiny nor Indian or independence. It is somewhere in between. It had elements of sepoy mutiny also. It had elements of Indian war of independence also. Both the elements it had. Next, we will talk about the consequences. ಇದರಿಂದ ಆಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂತ outcome ಏನು? Outcome. What is the outcome? ಪರಿಣಾಮಗಳು. Consequences. Okay. So, because of this, Government of India Act 1858, Government of India Act 1858 was passed by British Parliament. So, British Parliament passes this. Next, Adalita Vyavasthayalli, they do lot of changes, administrative system. Next, entire India comes directly under the control of British. So, till here, the control was under whom? Control was under East India Company, right? So, now the control goes to whom? Control directly goes to Britain. Britain ರಾಜನ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾರತದ ಆಡಳಿತ ನೇರ ಆಡಳಿತಕ್ಕೆ ಒಳಪಡ್ತದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ it was under East India Company. Okay. So, Queen gives a Queen's proclamation. So, the Queen takes over India's control by Queen's proclamation. She gives a Queen's proclamation. It is a document. She says that India is under our control. Okay. So, this proclamation says that annexation would be not done. Andre, we will not take over any Raja's kingdom. So, many Rajas are there. Earlier, doctrine of lapse, Raja's kingdom used to be taken over by British. Now, the Queen says, no, we will not take over any Raja's kingdom, but they will rule on behalf of us. We will just control them. They will have their own land. They will rule, but we will exercise major monitoring. So, we will majorly monitor them. So, that is what said by the Queen's proclamation. So, it is called monitoring, is called paramount C. Paramount C. Okay. Next, until then, until 1857, Indians were not allowed in employment under the British. So now the Queen's Proclamation says Indians are also eligible for the employment under British civil employment. So with respect to our military, lot of changes takes place. What is the changes? What are the changes in the military? Military, they divide the military into many compartments. So your Rajput regiment, Sikh regiment, Gorkha regiment, Madras regiment, Maratha regiment, all this starts after 1857 because they don't want Indians to be unified. So they divide them into many regiments. So okay, and also there were many so Indian soldiers were drastically reduced. So European soldiers were increased. Indian ಸೈನಿಕರನ್ನ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. And also the army amalgamation scheme. So they start army amalgamation scheme. What they do, higher posts. So top posts would be reserved for only British. Only lower level posts would be given for Indians. Okay. Another scheme, army amalgamation scheme. What they do, European forces, Portuguese, French, Dutch, whoever were serving the East India Company, so they would be sent to Britain to protect the Queen. So in turn, British soldiers who were protecting the Queen, they were sent to India because the British needed lot of British soldiers. This is army amalgamation scheme. Next, this reformation is zeal, andre widow remarriage or abolition of Sati or women education, all these were stopped by the British. They think because we were doing all these reforms, these Brahmins got angry, that is why they started the revolt. So they stopped all the reform process. Here there also one issue comes, white mutiny, the European soldiers, that is these soldiers also protest, that is called white mutiny. Next we have, okay, so also what are the consequences, some other consequences. So here economic loot of India. So here the policy of free trade and capitalism. So capital investment. So here what happens, after till here there was free trade because East India Company was there. Later on capital investment, that is Britain had lot of money, that capital was invested in India and they took profits. Where did they invest? Building of railways, telegraphs and many other things they invested. So India was started, the looting of India got paced. And ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಯಿತು. Next, Civil Services Act. Your IAS and IPS were open to Indians. 1861 Act, these civil services were open to Indians. And also this started racial bitterness, that is white versus black. That bitterness, that fight between Indians and Europeans increased. Indians were treated as barbaric, ಅನಾಗರಿಕ ಜನರು ಅಂತ ಪರಿಗಣಿಸಿದ್ರು ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರು ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ. What is the significance? So significance, despite there is lot of shortcomings, there are many importance. So one is, this was the first major big scale fight against the British. So that is one of the significance. All sections of population participated, major sections of population participated, and also the kind of violence. So your Gandhian policy of peace or non-violence finds its origin here because 1857 too many people got killed, more than 2 to 3 lakh people got killed. That is why Gandhi emphasized on later on what? On peace. Next we will talk about the socio-religious reform movements, general features, factors. What is socio-religious reform movements? Socio, samajika, religious, dharmika, reform, parivartane, movement. What is movement? What do you mean by movement in Kannada? Chaluvali. Okay. So Chaluvali is not the doesn't suit here. So it is a movement. Andre they start this change, reform in the social alien problems itto, religional what was the problems? It was too much middleman, pujaris. These pujaris used to do lot of atrocities, and religion, sati system, women were burnt alive along with men. That is their Sanatan Dharma. And also religion used to do exercise very high control in the society. So lot of problems in the religion. So idol worship, image worship was there, and also religious hatred was there. Your caste system was there, untouchability was there, female infanticide, ಸಣ್ಣ ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳನ್ನ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಸಾಯಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು. So there were many problems. How did we change it? So these reform movements were called Indian Renaissance. So Renaissance is a movement in Britain. So Renaissance starts in 15th century in Europe. In Europe, Renaissance starts. So this Renaissance is a socio-economic, cultural, religious, samajika, arthika, samskrutika, dharmika, parivartana, ಒಂದು movement, ಒಂದು ಚಳುವಳಿ. So this starts in Europe in 15th century. It starts in India in 19th century. Right? It is called Indian Renaissance. So why did it start? So intellectual churning. Because Indians got the education, English education. That is why it started, because of English education, because impact of British rule. So earlier what used to happen, your Delhi Sultanates, Mughals, whoever invaded India, they became part of India. So whatever money they earned, they spent in India. But these British people came into India, they exploited India and sent India's money outside. So this was exploitation of India. That is why impact of British rule was one of the major reason. Okay. So next, social conditions ripe for reform. ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಗೆ ಕರೆ ಕೊಡ್ತು. What is the socio condition? Religious and social ills. ಧಾರ್ಮಿಕ ಮತ್ತು ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ತೊಂದರೆಗಳು. There was social superstition. Dharmandhate. There was dharmandhate in various religions. There was belief in superstition, magic. So idolatry, image worship, ಕಲ್ಲಿನ ಪೂಜೆ ಆಗಿರಬಹುದು. ಆಮೇಲೆ there were many things which were actually not good. Depressing position of women. Women position was not good. What is the women position? Female infants, female ಹೆಣ್ಣು ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಕೊಲೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದು. Child marriage was there. Then old people, they were polygamy. One man used to marry many women. Polygamy was there. Then Kulinism was there. Under Kulinism, male of 70 or 80-year-old male person used to marry 16 or 17-year-old girl. So Kulinism was there. That was also, and also most importantly, your sati problem was there. Along with that, caste problem was there. So what is the caste problem? So here the major caste problem is your untouchability. So untouchability. So these Shudras were made to, so they were made to clean the latrines. They were kept outside the villages. They were subjected to all kinds of harassment. Shudras or Chandalas, fifth Chaturvarna. So untouchability, that was one reason. Next, opposition. So next comes why did it start andre opposition to Western culture, opposition to Western culture. So Indians wanted India's own culture. So Western culture used to come and have impact on Indians. So they opposed the Indian culture. So they opposed the Indian culture. However, Indians opposed the Western culture. Western culture of eating beef, drinking alcohol, wearing pant and shirt, so and consuming expensive items. All these were opposed by the Indians. Okay, next, new awareness among enlightened Indians. Who are these enlightened Indians? Who are these enlightened Indians? Enlightened Indians, those who got educated in English education, they were called as enlightened Indians. They got new awareness. ಹೊಸ ಒಂದು ಅನುಭವ ಆಯಿತು. What is this new ಅನುಭವ? They go to England for study. They see that England, such a small country, were ruling over such a big country called India. So a small number of people, handful of people were ruling such a big country. So they got to know the ground realities. So okay, so that is one reason. Okay, so this is also one of the reason for the social and ideological basis for reform. So who were the people who involved in this social and reform movements? So middle class people. So middle class people were the people who involved in the reform movements. Peasants, poor people were confined to their day-to-day earning, whereas rich people did not participate. Upper caste did not participate. It is only the middle class. Middle class. Hope you know what is middle class. We and you all belong to middle class. So we are the people who participated. Okay. Next. Okay. These middle class people composed of these educated people, lawyers, doctors. These were the people, and journalists, press people were the people who involved. Next, the intellectual criteria. So this movement was inspired by intellectuals, buddhijeevigalu. So who are these? So these were people, rational thinking. They think with logic, tarka badwagi yoshne ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವ್ರು. So who are the people? Raja Ram Mohan Rai, Akshay Kumar Dutt is there, and Swami Dayanand Saraswati, Swami Vivekananda, everybody. So these are the people. They use logic, reason, science and everything to justify what they are teaching. Okay, and they also teach. So they teach that religion, all religions are the same. They say we are divided among ourselves as on various religions, whereas they say all religions are same. So, and also say they oppose. So they oppose the Christianity and lay emphasis on Vedas. So they say we should look back to our own culture. We have rich heritage in Vedas, we have Upanishads. We should look at this, not at Christianity. Say they oppose this. And also they say universalistic principles. Universalistic principles means they say all humans are equal. We are all equal, whether rich or poor, high or low caste, male or female, all of us are equal. So next, they emphasize on, as part of Renaissance, they emphasize on humanitarian principles. Humanitarian principles means what? Earlier, humans were exploited. Exploitation means women were exploited, and even normal poor humans, Dalits were made to do the latrine cleaning and all those things, and humans were exploited by bonded labor and many other things. What is? And forced labor, begar, already told. So there was exploitation. They emphasize on humanism. That is, we should respect the humans. So more than religion, it is humanism. Manaviyate is important. Manaviyata is important. Okay. So they emphasized on this worldliness. Earlier, this religion used to talk about Kailasa, Swarga and Naraka. So these religious reformers say you talk about the present world, what we are living, not about karma, Swarga or Naraka. Okay. So this is about the intellectual criterions, and also they taught in the local language. They use the local language to communicate with the people. So there are two streams of people. What are the two streams? Reformists and revivalists. Reformist means what? Reformist, whatever the problems in these two areas, they try to reform it, bring new things. So new things. Revivalist, so whatever the issues in this, they try to go back to earlier times. What are the time in the times of Vedas? When it comes to Islam, what were the practice during the earlier Islamic times? That was tried to brought back. Revivalists, they were traditional people. They tried to go back to earlier times and try to bring back that earlier times. Whereas reformists tried to reform the existing system in a new way. So what is the direction of the social reform? What is the direction of the social reform? Okay, so these were conducted by the newly educated middle class. So this was conducted by newly educated middle class, and they fight against the untouchability, gender-based discrimination, and many other things. Okay, so they use Indian languages. So Indian languages to propagate their views. Fight for betterment of position of women. Fight for betterment of position of women. What was the fight in this? Earlier, women were given very low status. They were treated as the secondary citizens. They were treated as with respect to male. That is why, so all your surname. So women had husband's name in front of her. So because they were treated as a part of her husband, so women did not have independent identity. So she did not have independent identity. So they were given very low status. Also, there were problems like Purda. What is considered hijab today? Even North Indians practice it. North Indian Hindus, they wear the Purda over their head. That is, Purda system was there. Earlier marriage. So women used to be married very earlier. Widow remarriage was banned. Vidva vihavanna pratibhatislagta ittu, and also women could not inherit property. The father's property they could not inherit, and only the respect they used to get was they were glorified. They were given respect as mothers and wives. So just as mothers and wives, they were respected and not as individual human beings. Okay, next. So the social reform movements went along with the freedom struggle. So freedom struggle and this went together. So the reformers said, if you follow true religion, Nijvada Dharma antidre, that Dharma will not give low status to women. That Dharma, real Dharma, will not give low status to women. That was taught by the reformers. So they opposed this polygamy, Purda, child marriage, and many other things. Steps taken to ameliorate what? The women's position. So what were the steps taken? Abolition of Sati. First abolition, Sati was abolished in 1829. What is the law? Law name is important. The Regulation of Bengal Code. Regulation of Bengal Code 1829. So who abolished it? It is abolished by William Bentinck, on whose effort Rajaram Mohan Roy. Rajaram Mohan Roy is responsible for this abolition. Next, preventing female infanticide. What is female infanticide? Suppose a girl child is born, immediately the girl child used to be killed. So that was murdering of woman, girl, child. So this was declared illegal by Bengal Regulation 1795. 1795, and an act was passed in 1870. 1870 act was passed to prevent female infanticide, widow remarriage. So many of the organizations promoted widow remarriage. What are the organizations? Brahma Samaj promoted it, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar promoted it, and also there was Hindu Remarriage Widows Remarriage Act, Hindu Widow Remarriage Act 1856, Hindu Widow Remarriage Act 1856 is there. Okay, next. So widow remarriage, few important people. There was a widow remarriage association started by Vishnu Shastri Pandit. Vishnu Shastri Pandit started widow remarriage association. Then there is a newspaper called Satya Prakash. Satya Prakash advocating widow remarriage. When it comes to widow remarriage, one important person name you have to remember, Dando Keshav Karve. Dando Keshav Karve. So this Karve himself married a widow. Okay. So he opened a widow home. Widow home. Vidva Shale or Vidva Gruhavana. He starts in Pune. Okay. Next we have controlling child marriage. Child marriage. So even your present Prime Minister also was married as a child. Child marriage. So earlier child marriage was rampant. Even today it is practiced, but not to that extent. Okay. So first is this child marriage was prohibited by Native Marriage Act. Native Marriage Act 1872. So it was applicable. It was not applicable to Hindus, Muslims. So this is not an important act. What is important act? So Age of Consent Act. Age of Consent Act 1891. Age of Consent Act 1891. So why this act is important means, so it raised the minimum marriage age for girls to 12 years. So today the minimum marriage age for girl is how much? 18 years. So today it is being they are trying to increase it to 21 years now. So Age of Consent Act, it was 12 years. It was 12 years. Okay. Next we have, okay, so here one question, one act is important, one case is important. Rukma Bai case. Rukma Bai case. This was asked in 2020 UPSC IAS prelims. What is this Rukma Bai case? So Rukma Bai was married as a child. So she was married as a child. So and she after marriage she was living in her mother's home only. After she becomes she matures, she attains maturity. So this her husband comes to her and says, you should come with me. So she tries to refuse it. She says, I am not going to come with you. Why? Because you have married me before I attained maturity. So it is not legal. So it goes to court. And this case was asked in the 2020 prelims. Rukma Bai case 1884. It is with respect to conjugal rights, marriage rights. Next we have after that Sharda Act. Sharda Act 1929. Child Marriage Restraint Act 1929 speaks about this child marriage. So here the age was raised to from 12 to 14 years. Sharda Act is 18. Child Marriage Restraint Act 1929. Okay. Next we have Child Marriage Restraint Act 1978. Post 1978 Act, post independence. So that increased the age to 18 years. Next we have women's education. Women's education. So with respect to women's education, Christian missionaries. Christian missionaries were the first organizations to start educating the women. So it starts in So first famous initiative in this direction is 1849 Bethune School. Bethune School 1849. So is the first women education initiative. Later on when it comes to women education, one person just like Dando Keshav Karve is known for widow remarriage, and with respect to child marriage, this person is important. His name is Bairamji Malbari or B.M. Malbari. Child marriage B.M. Malbari. Child marriage B.M. Malbari. Widow remarriage Dando Keshav Karve. Women's education Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. Dalit upliftment Jyotiropoulos Phule. These names you have to know. Okay. Pandit Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar started 35 girls schools. 35 girls schools. Okay. So Jyotiropoulos Phule's wife Savitribai Phule was also a teacher. She encouraged women education. She encouraged women's education. Okay. So this women's education was promoted by Charles Wood Dispatch. Charles Wood Dispatch. So this is a first we have Lord Macaulay 1935. 1935 education policy. Wood's Dispatch 1854. Charles Wood's Dispatch 1854. So this speaks about what? Women's education. Women's education. Later on, women participated in the freedom movement. They even went on to fight the soldiers. They faced the lathis and bullets. Many of them got killed also. There were many people who were part of revolutionaries. They killed many British people. Next, women's organization. What are the women's organization? We have 1910 Sarla Devi Chaudhrani. Sardar Sala Devi Chaudhrani 1910. She starts. So she studied in your Maharani College. She studied in Maharani College. So rather she was a teacher in Maharani's College, Bangalore. So this Sarla Devi Chaudhrani 1910. She starts Bharat Stri Mahamandal. She advocates education for men and also opposes Purda system. Next, your Ramabai Ranade, Mahadev Govind Ranade. Justice Mahadev Govind Ranade's wife Ramabai Ranade also starts Ladies Social Conference. That is one organization. Next, Pandita Ramabai Saraswati, the Swami Dayanand Saraswati's wife, she starts Arya Mahila Samaja. Arya Mahila Samajam. Next, we have one more organization. So we have one more organization, 1925, National Council of Women. National Council of Women, 1925. So here very rich women of rich families were participating in it. So it worked against Purda system, caste difference, lack of education and many other things. So only rich people, rich women were part of this. So the most important organization is 1927 All India Women's Conference. 1927 All India Women's Conference started by Margaret Cousins. Margaret Cousins. So they were feminists. So after independence, we have many acts. We have what? Hindu Marriage and Divorce Act, Special Marriage Act, Hindu Minority and Guardianship Act. We have Maternity Benefit Act. Maternity Benefit Act is there, and also you have Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act is there. Adultery Act is there. Surrogacy Bill is there. Your Vishaka Guidelines, and also Sexual Harassment at Workplace. That act is also there. Many acts are there. Next, struggle against caste-based exploitation. Struggle against caste-based exploitation. Caste. So India was divided into fourfold division: Brahmanism, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. 4 castes. And in these 4 varnas, these are 4 varnas. In these 4 varnas, there were many sub-castes as well. This is called Chaturvarnashrama system. Okay. So The caste of a person determined his status. So status and purity. So you belong to higher caste, your status was high, you were considered pure. So you belong to lower caste, your status is low. So, and also your purity is also low. So, but the most important problem is with respect to Shudras. They were considered untouchables, right? So, Dalits, untouchables. So, it was based on birth. So, factors that help to mitigate caste-based discrimination. How did caste-based discrimination was fought? So, British rule brought about equality. How? In the military, British used to recruit soldiers, right? So, when in the recruitment, the British did not discriminate between the Brahmins, Vaishyas, Shudras and other people. They used to treat everybody equally. For example, even today in your army, navy and air force, there is no reservation. Okay. So, this army people, this British army tried to recruit all kinds of people. Next, British encouraged private property. Private property, I already told. Private property, if you have money, you could buy property. Because of property, lower caste bought property and their social status increased. So, if you have land, your social status increased. That also bought some equality. Then British law, British rule of law. So, under British rule of law, all were considered equal. So, earlier, Shudras were applied different law, Brahmins were applied different law. So, under this British law, everybody was treated equal. And also growing urbanization. In urbanization, all the caste intermingled. Next. So, next, social reform movements. Social reform movements, I told many movements, Brahma Samaj, Arya Samaj and many Samaja, Pratana Samajams, they fought against the caste-based discrimination, Ramakrishna Mission and everything. They allowed even the Dalits to enter temple. Even Dalits could enter temples. Okay. So they work for the betterment in the real world. So this reform, that is socio-religious reforms, they work for betterment in this world, not in other world. So they did not believe in theory of karma. Karma, if you do bad karma, you will be born in low caste. No, these reformers did not believe in all those systems. National movement also inspired equality. So national movement, that is fight against the British, brought all caste together. So everybody participated in the national movement that brought. So Gandhiji's Harijan campaign also inspired all caste of people. Okay. Next. So this low caste, they themselves got empowered. So this Babaji Ambedkar emphasized on what? He emphasized on education. You get education, you get higher status in the society. So he emphasized on education. So this lower caste, they got education and their social status also increased. So that is also one of the reason. Okay. So this here we have Jyotiropoulos' theory of Aryan invasion. What is theory of Aryan invasion? What is this? So India is here. So this Jyotiropoulos says Indian people were these low caste people were actual Indians. They were the original Indians. So these higher caste Brahmins, whoever they came, they are from Aryans. They are from this Siberian region, Aryan place. So they are from Aryan place. So they are not Indians. So this theory was propagated by whom? By Jyotirao Phule. Understood? Okay, here Babaji Ambedkar also does lot of work. What does he do? He starts a newspaper. Babaji Ambedkar's newspaper is Mook Nayak. Mook Nayak. Babaji Ambedkar's newspaper. With that newspaper, he fights against the social division. ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಅವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯನ್ನಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಅಸಮಾನತೆಯನ್ನ ಮೂಕ್ ನಾಯಕ್ ಪತ್ರಿಕೆಯಿಂದ ವಿರೋಧಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬಾಬಾಜಿ ಅಂಬೇಡ್ಕರ್ ಅವರು ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಬಹಿಷ್ಕರಿತ್ ಹಿತಕರ್ಣಿ ಸಭಾ ಇನ್ 1924. ಬಹಿಷ್ಕರಿತ್ ಹಿತಕರ್ಣಿ ಸಭಾ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಸಭೆಯನ್ನ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ and also he starts Bahishkrit Bharat. He starts one more organization called, so Bahishkrit Bharat he starts, Bahishkrit Bharat is a newspaper started by Bhimrao Ambedkar, and also one more organization, All India Depressed Class Association, AIDCA. So it was started by your Ambedkar. Next, this Mahat Satyagraha. Dr. Ambedkar starts this Mahat Satyagraha. Mahat Satyagraha. So Mahat is a place where the tank, Mahat tank or well. So in the well, the untouchables were not allowed to take the water from. So Ambedkar goes there, takes the water from well and drinks it, and upper caste opposes it. So that is Mahat Satyagraha. It takes place in 1927. Okay, next, similar to caste in the north, we have in the South India, we have self-respect movement. Self-respect movement by E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar. E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar, also called as Periyar. And also in Kerala we have Narayan Guru of Edva caste, who opposed the upper caste. Okay, next we will talk about this is about Constitution of India. Constitution of India also gave equality, untouchability. Article 17, I told you in polity, untouchability was made unconstitutional. Article 17. Also we have Protection of Civil Rights Act. Protection of Civil Rights Act 1955 is there. That also prohibits religious discrimination. Then you have Dalit Atrocity Act. That is also there. Okay. So Constitution allows your hotels, cinemas, everywhere these Dalits can come. Nobody can discriminate. So general survey of, next we will talk about their leaders. Who are the leaders of the movement? Who are the leaders of the movement? Okay. So, socio-cultural reform movements and their leaders. Who are the leaders? First, Raja Ram Mohan Roy. So, he is called the father of Indian Renaissance. Raja Ram Mohan Roy is called as father of Indian Renaissance. Renaissance spelling RENAISSANCE. You would have studied in school. Schoolally you would have studied Renaissance. It happens in Europe. India it happens in 19th century, and the father of that is Rajaram Mohan Roy. So he has what? He has organization Brahma Samaj. So he applies scientific approach for everything. He gives scientific and logical approach, and he is a votary of human dignity. ಮಾನವೀಯ ಘನತೆಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇವರು ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಗೌರವವನ್ನ ಉಳ್ಳವರು. Who? This Rajaram Mohan Roy. So he wrote one book called Gift to Monotheist. Gift to Monotheist is his book, and also he has translated Vedas and Upanishads into Bengali language. So first, before Brahma Samaj, Rajaram Mohan Roy starts what? He starts Atmiya Sabha. So he starts one Sabha, it's called Atmiya Sabha. So it actually it opposes idolatry. So Murti Puja na oppose ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, caste system na oppose ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, the dharma, the meaningless rituals. So homa havanagalana oppose ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ and meaningless rituals na oppose ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಧಾರ್ಮಿಕ ಆಚರಣೆಗಳನ್ನ ಅಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ they believed in Vedanta. So they believed in Vedanta. What? Vedanta. They believed not in Vedas but Vedanta. Vedanta means it is the highest level of Veda. Even your Swami Vivekananda ji also believes in Vedanta. Okay. So he said, he emphasized on rationalism. Rationalism means logical thinking. ತರ್ಕಬದ್ಧ ಯೋಚನೆನ ಅವರು ಪ್ರಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ಅಪೋಸಸ್ ಬ್ಲೈಂಡ್ ಫೈತ್, ಅಂಧಾಕರಣೆಯನ್ನ ಅಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ next, so he starts Brahma Samaj in 1828. So why did he start? He wanted to give effect to his ideas. He had so many ideas to so what does this Samaj do? So they emphasize on prayers, meditation and reading Upanishad. Prayer, meditation and Upanishad are the main tools. They oppose Murti Puja, they oppose image worship. So and also painting, picture, everything, worshipping, ಪೂಜೆ ಮಾಡೋದನ್ನ ಅಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Okay, next, they wanted to purify Hinduism. They wanted to purify Hinduism and preach monotheism. What do you mean by monotheism? ಏಕದೇವೋಪಾಸನೆನ preach ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ they propose. Then also, so their teaching was based on Vedas and Upanishads. Vedas ಮತ್ತೆ Upanishad ಎರಡರನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ preach ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Okay, they wanted to purify Hinduism, right? So what are the few points of Brahma Samaj? They oppose idol worship. They don't believe in avatar. So God has many avatars, they don't believe in it. Then they emphasize on reason. I told tarkabadda vyavasthe. Then they oppose caste system. So caste system na oppose ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ರಾಜಾರಾಮ್ಸ್ effort at social reform. ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಯನ್ನ ರಾಜಾರಾಮ್ ಮೋಹನ್ ರಾಯ್ ಹೇಗ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು? First, he opposed what? He opposed the Sati system. If Sati system got banned in India, it is only because of one person, Rajaram Mohan Roy. Okay. Next, 1829, it gets banned. Next, so he opposed the subjugation of women. Women ge ಕೆಳಸ್ತರದ position ಕೊಡೋದನ್ನ this Rajaram Mohan Roy opposes. He opposes polygamy. ಒಬ್ಬ ಪುರುಷ ಅನೇಕ ಸ್ತ್ರೀಯರನ್ನ ಮದುವೆ ಆಗೋದನ್ನ he opposes. Okay, so he established a college as well. Okay, so where is this college name is Vedanta College. 1825, established by Rajaram Mohan Roy. He knew multiple languages. He had a own newspaper, own press was started by him. So his newspaper was called Mirat-ul-Akbar by Rajaram Mohan Roy. So he opposed the zamindars. Zamindars used to extract lot of tax, lot of revenue was extracted by whom? By the zamindars. That was opposed by whom? Rajaram Mohan Roy. So your article 51A, article 50 talks about what? It talks about suppression of, so 50 or 51A. So it talks about suppression of judiciary from executive. Judiciary from court and government, executive administration should be separate. So this was told by Rajaram Mohan Roy long back. So he was a internationalist. So he also said your civil services, IAS and IPS, Indians should, earlier only Europeans were there, Indians should get entry into this. That was also said by him. He was a internationalist. So wars around the world, whatever war used to take place, this person used to comment. Next, we have Debendranath Tagore. Who is Debendranath Tagore? He is the father of Rabindranath Tagore. Okay, so he had his own sabha. His sabha's name is Tattva Bodhini Sabha. Devendranath Tagore Sabha is Tattva Bodhini Sabha, and it had a patrika, a newspaper called Tattva Bodhini Patrika. Okay, so later on, this Tattva Bodhini Sabha and Brahma Samaj, both of them got merged. Both of them got merged. So, okay, so they supported what? They supported widow remarriage, women's education, abolition of polygamy, and Raitara condition improve ಮಾಡೋದು. Next comes Keshup Chandra Sen. So KC Sen, he also joins Brahma Samaj and he becomes the Acharya of Brahma Samaj in 1858. So what he does, he expands the Samaj. Earlier Brahma Samaj was confined to Bengal only. However, Keshup Chandra Sen comes, he expands the Samaj to every other place, UP, Punjab, every Bombay, everywhere he expands the Sabha. However, his ideas were very radical ideas. Radical ideas means, so ideas not accepted by other Samaj members. So he was thrown out of Brahma Samaj and he establishes his own Samaj, that is called Brahma Samaj of India. Brahma Samaj of India. So even so, earlier Brahma Samaj, this Brahma Samaj becomes later on Adi Brahma Samaj. Next, Keshup Chandra Sen establishes Brahma Samaj of India. Brahma Samaj of India. This also gets divided into Brahma Samaj of India, and also this gets divided into Sadharan Brahma Samaj. Sadharan Brahma Samaj. This is the main Brahma Samaj. These two are offsprings of main Brahma Samaj. Okay. Next, we have significance of Brahma Samaj. What is the significance? So they opposed many superstitions. They condemn Sati. They condemn Purda system. They discourage child marriage and polygamy. So they opposed casteism and untouchability as well. Next, we have Prarthana Samaj. Prarthana Samaj in Mumbai. It was Keshup Chandra Sen helps the Atmaram Pandurang, who is the most important person. Atmaram Pandurang starts the Prarthana Samaj. It starts in Bombay region, later assumes all India region. So it emphasized on education. It opposed caste system. It supported caste system oppose ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Women education they support. Women widow remarriage they support. Okay. So Dando Keshav Karve was a part of Prarthana Samaj. Next we have Young Bengal movement. Henry Vivian Derozio. This time UPSC Civil Services mains 2021 mains, which I wrote, this question was asked in history. Henry Vivian Derozio. Young Bengal movement. So it is a radical movement. So here they were inspired by French Revolution. They emphasized on rationality, questioning all authority. So ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೇ ಏನೇ ಒಂದು ನಂಬಿಕೆನ ಹೇರಿದ್ರು, you question it. Don't assume it. Don't just follow it. Next, they loved liberty. Liberty means freedom. Okay. Next, equality. They emphasized on samanate. Then they opposed traditions. So they opposed meaningless traditions. Okay. So because of their radicalism means what? Extremist ideas. In order to bring sudden change in the society. For example, your Naxalism is a radical movement. They want to bring what? They want to bring sudden change in the government. So that is a radical movement. So because of their radicalism, this Derozio did not succeed, and they did not focus on masses. They were only just learned people. Learned people used to discuss they did not go and touch the masses. Okay, so they did not take up peasants' causes. ರೈತರ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗಮನವನ್ನ ಹರಿಸಲಿಲ್ಲ. So and also they because of all these reasons, these Derosians did not succeed. These Derosians did not succeed. Next, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. So women's education, this person's name is very, very important. Okay, so he was a deep humanist. Humanist means Manavatavadi. So Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was a deep humanist, generous, and so what he does, he was a principal of Sanskrit college. There will be a college called Sanskrit College in where? In Bengal. So what he does, it was not allowed to lower caste people were not allowed to Sanskrit college. What Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar says, he allows the lower caste people to come and attend classes. Okay, so this is the reform he starts. Next, so he was the principal of the college. He encouraged Western thought in education. So we have Indian thought, we have Western thought. So Indian thought is considered traditional, religious, whereas Western thought is considered modern, scientific. Okay, he encouraged Western thought. Okay, so he encouraged widow remarriage. By whom? Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, and also laid emphasis on women's education. So he was the secretary. So J.D. Bethune, I told 1949, J.D. Bethune started first women's school. So he was a secretary of that school. Okay, next we'll talk about Paramahamsa Mandali. We'll talk about what? Paramahamsa Mandali. Most important person of Paramahamsa Mandali is Dadoba Pandurang. So he is the most important person of the Paramahamsa Mandali. So they worked for reforming Hinduism. So Hinduism na reform madlikke they work. So they believed in one God. So there should be only one God. Told by whom? Paramahamsa Mandali. Okay, so they advocated widow remarriage. And widow education. Paramahamsa Mandali, if you know this much, it is more than sufficient. Jyotiropoulos and Savitribai Phule are UPSC's favorite. Why? Because 2020 they asked question in 2 or 3 papers continuously. So Jyotiropoulos. So he belongs to Maharashtra. He belongs to low caste Mali community. He started the Satya Shodhak Samaj. So this Jyotiropoulos starts Satya Shodhak Samaj, and he enrolls many members. Who are the members? Malis, Telis, Kunbis, all these lower caste people. He enrolls in the Satya Shodhak Samaj, right? Okay, so next, so the aim, what do they aim? They aim for social service. And also spreading education. ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಸೇವೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್, ಶೈಕ್ಷಣಿಕ ಉನ್ನತಿಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗಮನವನ್ನ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ whom? Lower caste people. So Jyotibai Phule wanted social transformation of oppressed classes. So ಕೆಳವರ್ಗದವರಿಗೆ ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಪರಿವರ್ತನೆಯನ್ನ ತರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ whom? This Jyotiropoulos struggles. Okay, so he said this, the masses. So he says, and without education there is nothing is possible with respect to depressed classes. Only when you educate the lower classes, then only they can progress in the ladder of society. So they can climb the ladder of society from lower position to higher position. So what is the tool? The tool is education. Only by education you can progress in the society. Okay, so he proposed society free of exploitation. So societally there should be no exploitation, said by this Jyotirao Phule. Next, so he does two works he writes, two books he writes. One is Sarvajanik Satyadharma, another is Gulamgiri. Gulamgiri and Sarvajanik Satyadharma, written by Jyotirao Phule. So next, he worships Raja Bali. So Brahminism worships whom? Rama. Whereas Jyotirao Phule worships whom? Raja Bali. Raja Bali Chakravarti. Okay. So he proposes complete abolition of caste system. He says no caste system in India. Caste system should not be there. Who proposes it? Jyotirao Phule proposes it. Okay. So he says these Brahmins are high class, higher caste. Brahmin priests, Brahmin pujaris are exploiting the lower caste people. Who says? Jyotirao Phule. Okay. So he was given the title of Mahatma. Okay. So he faced many problems in the reforms because society used to oppose him. Okay. So his wife Savitribai Phule, she is also a well-known name in the what? Social reform. So she advocated for education of women. So she advocated for education of women. She started the women's school in Pune. She started women's school in Pune. Okay. So she advocated women's rights. ಸ್ತ್ರೀಯರ ಹಕ್ಕುಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಯಾರು? ಸಾವಿತ್ರಿಬಾಯಿ ಫುಲೆ ಅವರು. So she talks about widow remarriage. Widow remarriage also she talks about. Okay. So earlier what used to happen? This if a woman becomes a widow, her head used to be shaved. Her head used to be shaved clean. So this Savitribai Phule opposes this. She opposes this exploitation. Okay. So this is what the contribution of Savitribai Phule. Next comes Gopal Baba Valangkar. Gopal Baba Valangkar, he is the disciple of whom? He is the disciple of Jyotirao Phule. Gopal Baba Valangkar was a disciple of Jyotirao Phule. So he worked for uplifting the Dalits. He worked for uplifting the Dalits. Okay. So according to Ambedkar says, he is the first person who started Dalit movement in India. Who started Dalit movement in India? According to Ambedkar, Gopal Baba Valangkar was the first person to start Dalit movement in India. Okay. So he subscribes to Aryan invasion theory. So Aryan invasion theory of Jyotirao Phule, I told already, India, these low caste people are natural Indians. These upper caste people have come from outside India. Aryans have come from outside India. Who told it? Jyotirao Phule. Even Gopal Baba Valangkar supports it. Okay. So he starts a journal. He starts a newspaper or a journal called Vital Vidwanshak. Sorry. Vital Vidwanshak was started by Valangkar. So Valangkar also starts Anarya Dosha Parihar Mandali. Anarya means those who are not Aryans. So whatever the problems, Anarya Dosha, whatever the problems in the Anaryans, so that should be reformed. Told by whom? Gopal Baba Valangkar. Next, we will talk about Servants of India Society. Who started the Servants of India Society? Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Very, very famous. Gopal Krishna Gokhale starts the Servants of India Society. Okay. So what is the Servants of India Society? So he starts it inspired by with the help of Mahadev Govind Ranade. So they train national missionaries to service of India. So national missionaries means service of India, that is volunteers for national service. Volunteers for national service are trained by these servants of India society. So their journal is called Hitavada. Their journal is called Hitavada. Okay, next we have Ramakrishna Movement and the Swami Vivekananda. Very, very important. So Brahma Samaj was there, right? The ideas of Brahma Samaj was very high level ideas. Those ideas were not followed by common low class people, poor people, uneducated people. So for uneducated people, the bhakti propounded by Ramakrishna movement was very, very important. Okay, so here comes Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. So he was a priest, he was a pujari at Kali temple. So he has attained enlightenment. So he used to teach people. On various things, on life, nature, death, and various things he used to teach. So they start after him. They start Ramakrishna movement. What is Ramakrishna movement? So they want to bring into existence a band of monks. So band of monks. Monks means sannyasis. A band of sannyasis dedicated to spirituality and social service. These monks, sannyasis, should do spirituality also, should do social service also. So this Ramakrishna movement emphasized on that. Next, so they should do both the things. Okay, so Ramakrishna Paramahamsa also started Ramakrishna Mutt. So they aim to bring sannyasis who are dedicated to social service and spirituality. So after Ramakrishna's death, the Ramakrishna Mutt was taken over by Swami Vivekananda and he starts Ramakrishna Mission. So Ramakrishna Mission and Ramakrishna Mutt are different things. Ramakrishna Mutt was started by Paramahamsa, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Ramakrishna Mission was started by Swami Vivekananda. Okay, so here Paramahamsa, what he emphasized on meditation, bhakti. So Paramahamsa emphasized on dhyana and bhakti, right? Okay, so he said all the gods, Krishna, Hari, Ram, Allah, Christ, Yesu, everybody is same. Who said it? It was said by Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. So he is a disciple. That is, Vivekananda says service of man. So this Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says service of man is service to God. If you want to give service to God, if you want to do seva to God, do seva of humans, poor people. That is what said by Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's wife is Sarla Devi. She was considered as divine mother. Okay, next we'll talk about Swami Vivekananda. So we'll talk about Swami Vivekananda and conclude the class. So his initial name was Narendra Datta. So he born in 1863. So he was a preacher of Neo-Hinduism. What is Neo-Hinduism? You can understand as New Hinduism. New Hinduism. Okay, so Ramakrishna's teachings and also teachings from Upanishads, Gita, and Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's teachings, Upanishads teachings and Gita teachings, and also Buddha's and Jesus' lives were the important messages given by Vivekananda. So he subscribed to Vedanta. Like Brahma Samaj, he told about Vedanta. So he wanted to mix Paramartha and Vyavahara, that is Paramartha, spiritual life, material life. He wanted to mix both of them. Next. Okay, so he says Hinduism and Islam should, both of them should work for the progress of India. So he said, what does he say? Knowledge without action is useless. If you have knowledge, you should put it into action. Okay, so he said you should not preach religion to starving human. First give him food, then teach him religion. He emphasized on secular knowledge, that is no communal knowledge, that is no Hinduism and Muslim, rather equality, secularism. Okay, so he went and attended, so he worked for the economic upliftment of the poor, that is that is employment and various other things. Next, he attended the Parliament of Religions in Chicago. He made a speech there. He made a speech on Hinduism, right? This was held in 1893. He delivered the speech on what? He delivered the speech on Vedanta. Okay, so he bought in what? Both nationalism and spiritualism. So India's patriotism was also there. Okay, he founded Ramakrishna Mission. So he said the service of Jiva is the worship of Shiva. Service of Jiva, that is human service, is service to God. So he advocated modern science and modern education. Modern science and modern education was advocated by Vivekananda. So the mission has been doing numerous social service. It is built number of schools, hospitals and various other things. Even during floods, earthquakes, Ramakrishna Mission has done. So Bengal, this cyclone was there, Ramakrishna Mission helped. Okay, so they consider image worship. So Brahma Samaj did not consider image worship, whereas Ramakrishna Mission considers utility of image worship. They say image worship is good. So this is all about the. So they emphasized on Vedanta. Highest level of Vedas is called Vedanta. Okay. So your Upanishads are also, it also includes Vedanta. Okay. So this is all about Swami Vivekananda, and tomorrow we will start with Dayananda Saraswati. Thank you for your patience. Hope you found the class very useful. Please make good use of it for your civil service or any government job preparation. So I wish you all the best. Please take care of your health. Namaste. Jai Hind.